Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. Joining us now from Big Fork, Montana is General Paul Vallely, former commanding general of the Pacific Command and the founder of the Syrian Opposition Liaison Group, which was created in conjunction with the Free Syrian Army and Stand Up America. And General Vallely, so good to see you again.
Good morning. Happy to be with you.
Well, the White House is planning to supply military support to Syria's rebels after confirming evidence of chemical weapons. How do you view this?
Well, it's hard to comment right now because I don't know who they're going to be dealing with. There's 5 or 6 factions over there that are included in what they call the Syrian opposition, all the way from the Muslim Brotherhood to Al-Qaeda. Now Hezbollah has come in from Lebanon to assist the Assad regime. The question is, will they support the ones we have vetted out, which is the Free Syrian Army, which controls most of the land that has been taken over by the opposition forces. They're also the moderate. They're the secular part of the opposition groups, and that's who we want to deal with. Unfortunately, when Senator McCain went over there, he did not meet with people that he should have. All he had to do was, of course, ask our group, and we would have given a entree into the people who are really the future, as we see it, for a free Syria.
General, why do you think it took the Obama administration so long to acknowledge the usage of chemical weapons there? I know that you'd been telling the administration for at least a year that you had intelligence that Assad was using chemical weapons. France had this intelligence, Israel had this intelligence, as did Great Britain. Why did it take President Obama so long to acknowledge this?
Well, there seems to be an inclination to fall back, stay out of the affairs over there in the Middle East, which a lot of Americans probably would agree with. But also, when you see the chessboard as it's laid out there with an avowed enemy of the United States, which is Iran, supported by Russia, and anti-U.S. Hezbollah, they will do everything they can to turn the tables on a future free Syrian government and country. And so Obama, has been pointed out even by President Clinton, calling him basically a wussy for not wanting to at least covertly to support the Free Syrian Army, for example. I think it's a combination of ineptness. I think it's a combination of not how to deal with the world over there. They don't seem to have knowledgeable people, diplomats, or military people or intelligence people at the higher levels that can deal with these international situations. They all seem to get messed up and then they get covered up. So we are not on a good track in America for dealing with international affairs, that's for sure.
General, Senator John McCain has called for the U.S. to enforce a no-fly zone. Should the U.S. and allies do so?
Well, they could, and that would prevent the Syrian forces from bombing and creating most of the deaths and wounded casualties over there in Syria, almost 90,000 now, many of those caused by airstrikes on the towns and cities and villages of Syria. So when you look at being able to provide at least air cover for the Free Syrian Army, that would be a positive step, as well as arming them with the right type of weapon system and providing humanitarian aid, which we have sent a report to the government is what they really need very badly.
As Hezbollah fights the battles that are helping the regime survive, is Iran, their chief sponsor, emerging as the winner in the regional struggle for influence?
Well, Hezbollah was created by Iran way back in the early 1980s, and they are the main proxy force, providing anywhere from $300 to $350 million a year in support to Hezbollah for rockets, missiles, all the other type of support activities that Hezbollah does get involved in. So, and then you have Russia, who is supporting Iran and also supporting Assad. And so when you look at that chessboard over there, you find out everything really begins and starts for international terrorism and the spread of tyranny from Tehran.
Do you see Russia making good on its threat to fulfill arms shipments to the Assad regime?
Oh, they have been for years. And part of the Soviet fleet is based out of TARDIS, which is on the Mediterranean Sea there, as they come down from the Black Sea, the fleets from Russia, they dock there, they offload the weapon systems. We've tracked that by satellite and with intelligence on the ground. At the same time, you have aircraft coming in from Russia and also from Tehran weekly, bringing in advisors, bringing in technicians, and of course supplies of armaments, communications equipment. And then the missiles that were put in 2 years ago were moved from Syria into the Valley of Lebanon. Mm-hmm. So this has been ongoing. We at Stand Up America and our intelligence apparatus has been tracking this now for over 3 years, and it's all been validated, including the chemical weapons.
Egyptian President Morsi's advisor on foreign affairs has given Egyptians the green light to fight in Syria. Is it an accurate assessment to say that the Syrian conflict has become a regional struggle for influence? And if that's indeed the case, and with the U.S. and Russia now becoming involved, are you concerned this could escalate into a regional war?
Oh, it absolutely is a regional war. And as we've seen it spread from Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, on up to Syria. You'll see next occurrences happening in Jordan. So it definitely is a regional war. It's an expansion of the global caliphate, control of all of that region using and implementing the ideology of Sharia. So that's Morsi in Egypt. Their intentions are to work with the Muslim Brotherhood. And we know, in fact, the U.S. government is working with the Muslim Brotherhood and was responsible for helping them to gain power in Egypt. Mm-hmm. So Obama and his crew are supporting the wrong people from that regard, and they've never asked even to meet with and support the Free Syrian Army, who certainly are the ones that I've been dealing with, some 9 generals who defected from the Assad forces, as well as about 70 other commanders. Mm-hmm. And so, it looks like I'll probably be going back over there in about 2 weeks into Turkey, as well as on the Syrian border again.
And so what does all of this mean for Israel?
Well, it's continued threats for Israel. I had a call from an Israeli last week, spent about an hour on the phone from Tel Aviv. They're very concerned about the maneuvering over there and what support they're going to get from anybody. They certainly don't want to deal with the Russians, because the Russians are really supporting Tehran and the Assad regime, which are diabolical and historical enemies of Israel. So Israel's got to really pay attention over there who they deal with. We're trying to get them to support and get arms to the Free Syrian Army, because they, in fact, will settle for some negotiated situation on the Golan Heights, which they cannot do with any other group over there, mm-hmm. other than the Free Syrian Army.
General, last question for you. If you were to advise the Obama administration as to how it should proceed on Syria moving forward, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to move a group over there of individuals, intelligence, as well as diplomatic, that can go into southern Turkey, meet with the commanders of the Free Syrian Army. Do not meet with the Muslim Brotherhood. Do not meet with representatives that are tied to the opposition forces that are looking for the spread of Sharia law. And as you see the riots in Turkey right now, the young people, that's what they're saying. We do not want tyrannical Sharia law to rule the future of Turkey. We want it to be secular. And that's what the Free Syrian Army is all about in Syria.
All right, General Paul Vallely, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.